This video contains fictional depictions of blood and gore and minor spoilers for various games. Back when I rebooted my channel in 2022, my first video was about experimental video game sequels. Essentially, sequels that didn't really build on the established formula, but went in a different direction entirely. This video is a companion piece to that one. Because today, I'd like to talk about sequels that were not just different to what came before, but were also absolutely hated by fans because of it. Games that were changed to chase current trends, appeal to certain demographics, or just because they felt like it. I don't mean spin-offs like Chibi Robo Ziplash, but actual mainline titles that were just different. Basically, the equivalent of that horribly edgy Looney Tunes reboot or the Super Mario Bros. Movie. However, I'd argue that these titles can still be appreciated for what they are. Since just because something is not what you wanted, it doesn't mean it's automatically worse. Before we start, I just wanted to quickly shout out my Patreon, where for just $1 a month you can see new videos 1 week earlier than everyone else. But now, let's head right into our first game. This is Bomberman. This is Bomberman Act 0. Now, you might be noticing something that feels a little off. That's right, they used a different font. Bomberman Act 0, released in 2006, perfectly encapsulates the video game trend of the late 2000s and early 2010s. Edgy visuals, edgy music, edgy lore, and even the title's edgy. What do you even mean by Act 0? Is this a prequel to this? The game had absolutely nothing to do with Bomberman except for the gameplay. It doesn't exist to appease old fans, but simply to try to win over edgy teens, who, ironically, would be put off by the rest of the series for being too cutesy. So ultimately, nobody's happy. But that's precisely why I find it so endearing, because it just stands out so much from the rest. To me, a lot of cutesy games run the risk of just blurring together. The last time I played a Kirby game was over 10 years ago, and when I look at the games now, it all just looks the same. Cute things defeating other cute things with the power of yet more cute things. How could I get into a series where none of the entries really stand out to me? But Bomber Edge, man, that definitely stands out. It delivers something none of the other games do. So if all entries in the series are very similar, then even the smallest of changes can serve as a catch to interest people in it. Especially if the changes are as crass as they are here. A similar example would be Super Smash Bros. Brawl, released in 2008. While it's certainly not a bad game, it's not nearly as fondly remembered as the other entries. Like Act 0, it focused more on realism and grittiness. Colors are washed out, textures are more detailed, stages are dirty and dusty. Just compare how characters like Mario, Toon Link and Olimar appear here, compared to their actual games. This was almost definitely done to show off that the Wii had more powerful hardware than the GameCube, as well as making the characters from Metal Gear Solid and Twilight Princess fit in better. But I wouldn't be surprised if they were also trying to appeal to a slightly older demographic, one that had written Smash off as being for kids. Even the gameplay was changed, being much slower than Melee. They also added a tripping mechanic where changing directions too quickly would make you fall flat on your face. Those changes may have been bad for hardcore fans who enjoyed Melee's fast-paced combat. But you know who might like them? New players who have never even touched a Smash Bros. Game before, or even fighting games in general. At least, that's why they appeal to me. I grew up with Melee, but prefer Brawl due to its slower nature. And like with Bomberman, I also enjoy the more realistic visuals since they haven't done anything like that since. So if all entries in a series are very similar, a quote bad sequel can still be someone's personal preference. On to our next game, Wolfenstein 2009. And the fact it came out in 2009 is extremely relevant because just 2 years prior, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare released. So this was right at the beginning of every modern shooter trying to be more like COD. And Wolfenstein was no exception. Iron sights, regenerating health, sprinting, turret sections and levels being way more linear. The visuals were also very drab and muddy, with even BJ suddenly being a grizzled dude with dark hair. It was as if the game had lost its entire identity. But despite all of that, the gameplay is arguably the best in the series. The shooting may be monotonous, but you can spice it up using your several magic powers. You can also tailor your arsenal towards your own playstyle by upgrading your weapons and abilities. And come on, it's got the particle cannon! This thing is better than even the BFG! And funnily enough, the changes that were clearly inspired by Call of Duty only improved the game further. Iron sights are an obvious upgrade, and the turret sections added a bit of variety. But most importantly, the regenerating health keeps up the pace by skipping having to run back and forth to find random medkits. It genuinely pains me that they never brought it back in any way. And Bethesda may have said that, quote, Activision did a crap job, but without Wolfenstein 2009, their games wouldn't even exist. The New Order was meant to be a direct sequel after all. And not only that, it also commits many of the same sins that 2009 did. Iron sights, sprinting, turret sections, and even more linear levels. And heck, this is arguably the greyest and grittiest the series has ever been. Yet, I never hear anyone complain about these things. Is it because people got used to them? Or did they realize there never was a reason to complain about them in the first place? So, a game can still be very good despite its bad elements, and that those bad elements can't really be so bad if future games adopt them too. And our final example is Doom 3 from 2004. I swear I like other games too, they just fit the topic. Doom 1 and 2 revolutionized the FPS genre, with their fast-paced action, intense music, and giant levels just begging you to explore them. So when it came time for a sequel, we went from all of that to this. Instead of large, sprawling levels, you walk through dark, linear corridors with your flashlight. What was left of the combat was now broken up by listening to PDA entries to figure out passcodes for doors and safes. And remember that powerful arsenal with a weapon for every occasion? Well, have a shotgun that's only slightly better than the starting pistol. And yet, it works pretty well as a survival horror game. I mean, it's no Resident Evil or Silent Hill, but it works. The levels are dark and moody, creating a tense atmosphere. The jump scares, while dated, still keep you on edge at all times. And most importantly, it stands out from other Doom games, especially the modern ones. We live in an age of nostalgia, where each new game feels the need to reference the older ones. And New Doom leans into that hard. The story is pretty much the same, characters are pretty much the same, and even the weapons are pretty much the same. Doom Eternal even went so far as to change certain monsters and items to be closer to the classic designs. And of course, the Doom Slayer is the same guy from Doom 1 and 2. Somehow. Now, these changes aren't automatically worse, but it feels unnecessary when these games can stand on their own. It's more like they're afraid to let go of the past and do their own thing. But Doom 3? Doom 3 always did its own thing. It's a slight retelling of the original, but puts enough of a twist on it to stay fresh. And since it was a reboot, it's completely disconnected from the rest of the series. Despite that, it's still Doom at its core, a game about killing demons. So if you're not in the mood for an intense shooter, you can still play something in the same universe, but which offers something new. Which means that by going in a different direction, a bad sequel can work well on its own, independent of what came before or comes after. There's other examples of bad sequels, too many for this small video. Like Metal Gear Solid 2, which lied to its fans about starring a new protagonist in its ads. Or DMC Devil May Cry, a reboot that lacked the same love and attention of the originals. Even Dead Space 3, which went from single player to multiplayer overnight. Though, like with my examples, even these titles have their fans for multiple reasons. And of course, there's still plenty of bad sequels being released these days. But I feel that overall, companies don't really want to experiment anymore. It's always just reboots and remasters and remakes or just games in a similar vein. Safe investments in already popular IP that just give people what they already have. I wish there were game series that completely broke the mold again. Just to see if it worked or not, upset fans be damned. Because you can only improve if you actually step outside your comfort zone now and then. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. but as these examples have shown, it can work. So please Nintendo, make Mario shoot prostitutes. The children yearn for it. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you think. Do let me know if there's any bad sequels out there that you still appreciate. I certainly missed a lot. And as always, if you've enjoyed the video, then show me that by leaving a like, a comment, by subscribing, and even by donating directly to my Patreon. Anything is appreciated. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and goodbye.